Beneficiary designation forms are critical in estate planning. This is one of my favorite topics to cover, and I think it's one that is often overlooked. In this episode, we will answer two questions. Number one, what is a beneficiary designation form? And number two, why are they so important in the context of estate planning? I think one of the reasons that I like this topic so much is because when I start to talk to clients about it, I can see the light bulb go on. It's an area that many people don't think about in the context of estate planning. And when we begin to understand how critically important it is, we start to see estate planning as something beyond just drafting a will. So let's first talk about the general concept of a beneficiary designation form, what they are, and what they accomplish. These forms allow you to direct assets or pass assets at your death by contract instead of through your will. The custodian or the company that holds or manages the account will have a form for you to complete, which will allow you to name a primary beneficiary and contingent beneficiaries. Contingent beneficiary is a person who would receive the asset in the event that your primary beneficiary would predecease you. So through the use of a beneficiary designation form, we are effectively creating a non-probate asset. That's an asset that passes outside of the probate process. Now, this point is critical to understand. These forms supersede your will. I'm going to give you an example. If your will says, quote, "I hereby direct that all of my life insurance proceeds shall pass to person A," but the beneficiary designation form directs those life insurance proceeds to person B, B wins. The beneficiary designation form controls, not the will. So where does this come into play? Often we're talking about these forms in the context of individual retirement accounts. So things like traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, mutual funds under a 401k or a 403b plan, a 457 plan, annuities, and life insurance policies. And I want to distinguish between other similar designations, things like payable on death designations, transfer on death designations, and in trust for designations. And I want to pause here for a moment. Often when I see the light bulb starting to come on, the initial reaction is, oh my word, I need to go out and make sure that I'm utilizing these forms on every account that I own. And I just want to caution you, before you go out and start using payable on death designations or things like it on your checking and savings accounts, you want to make sure that you're reviewing those decisions with your estate planning attorney. And the reason is because depending on how your estate plan is structured, you may want certain assets to pass under your will. The estate may need funds to pay for debt and liabilities, to pay for taxes, to pay funeral expenses, and other costs of estate administration. So this can include things like executor's fees and attorney's fees. And if the executor doesn't have the funds to be able to administer the estate, this can create serious problems and might significantly complicate the process of estate administration. And this is also very much state specific. In Pennsylvania, for example, we're not so focused on probate avoidance like in other states, because here probate is more straightforward and cost effective, and trust administration has many of the same rules of probate. So we don't generally avoid probate for the sake of avoiding probate. You'll want to make sure that your overall plan makes sense, which is why it's important to seek the advice of an estate planning attorney in your state. So for our purposes in this episode, we're focusing primarily on beneficiary designation forms for retirement plans and life insurance. So why is this so important? It's important to have a cohesive estate plan. Often the largest assets that we own, other than real estate, are our retirement accounts and life insurance. Many people carry a perception that estate planning is complete when they walk out of the attorney's office having executed their wills. But the attorney may have drafted the most beautiful will that embodies everything that you would ever want in your estate plan. But these designation forms supersede the will. They are contracts. The proper way to contextualize this is to view the will and the beneficiary forms as two separate but equally critical components of a comprehensive estate plan. So unless these forms are complete and aligned with your overall wishes, then we would not consider it a complete plan. So I recommend speaking with an attorney, an estate planning attorney in your state to help you avoid some of the common mistakes we'll discuss in the next episode. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please let me know, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode.